Yes, oh yes, oh yes, it is that time. Once again, you know where you is, you know what it is. Yes. Welcome, come on in. This is the I Am the Possible podcast experience. Yes. This is the place where possibilities become perspective, guys. Welcome into the space and into the place. You know what it is. You know what time it is. I'm so excited, guys, to be with you once again this week. Today, we are talking about coming alive. There are many of you who are living. Yes, you are breathing. Air is moving in and out of your lungs. You are living. Yes, indeed. But the question is, are you alive? Guys, today we're talking about how to discover your purpose, how to discover your fire, how to discover your passion, how to discover your zeal, how to discover your design for living a life that you enjoy living, right? How do you discover what God has designed you to do, to be, to have? Yes, that's what it's all about, man. Not just existing, but truly experiencing this life. If this is your first time joining, your first time tapping in, I is your host, Treveal C.W. Lynch, Mr. What? And I am here to show you, help you to see what makes it possible for you to be what you desire to be, do what you desire to do, have what you desire to have. It's my job. It's what I'm here for. It's what I'm made for. And so, guys, let me just open up, man, with my favorite quote. It is official, ladies and gentlemen. It is now my favorite quote of all times. Not to say that it'll be my favorite quote forever, but it is my favorite quote for now. And if you are watching on the tube, and you should be watching on the tube, I am going to share my screen, and I'm going to not only share this quote verbally, audibly, but I'm going to put it up on the screen. So you should be watching on the tube. And if you're not watching on YouTube, just head over to YouTube. I am the possible. No spaces. I am the. Don't forget the possible. And go ahead and type that in. Find my channel, subscribe, hit that notification bell so that you are notified each and every time I share new content, which is every single week. All right, guys, let me share my screen with you guys. Here, let me see. I should be able to share it right here. All right, check it out. This is it right here. Christian mystic Howard Thurman says, "Don't ask what the world needs." Excuse me. I'm going to say that one more time. Don't ask what the world needs. Ask what makes you come alive, and go do it. Because what the world needs are people who have come alive. Don't you just love that? Isn't that such a powerful idea? Many of us, especially in business, we like to say, what is the market demand? What does the world need? How can I fill a gap? How can I supply some sort of demand, right? And that's all well and good. All of those concepts have their space and their place in business, especially in corporate America, in retail, things such as that. But when it comes to you finding your purpose, especially as a Christian, right? And I'm going to be diving more into this in just a moment, but especially as a Christian, we exist in circles. We go to churches. We're in small groups. We're in community where we see people thriving in the gifts that God's given them, thriving in the talents God's given them. And sometimes we can get down on ourselves. Sometimes we can question whether or not we have that same value, whether or not God's going to use us for anything great. And sometimes we can get into these comparisons. We can get really caught up in looking at what others are doing and marveling at what they do. Maybe they're on a stage and they're singing on Sunday, or maybe it's the preacher, right? And they're up and they're able to articulate a message so powerfully and so wonderfully. And you compare yourself because of the very thing that I want to talk about today. You haven't discovered your design. You're looking at other people's design. You're comparing yourself to what other people are doing. And it's not that they have more value than you. It's not that they're more important than you. It's not that God's blessed them and anointed them, but God's left you out in the cold. That's not the facts. That's not the truth. That's not the case. What the case is in most cases, ah, just like me, I ain't no different. My life didn't catch fire in the way that it's caught fire now in terms of purpose and passion and zeal and dreaming and having visions, right? I didn't get all of that until I discovered my design, until I started getting some clues, right? Some pieces to the puzzle, baby. And that's what I want to talk about with you today. So let me find the stop sharing button. Here it is. I think that's to stop sharing. All right, so let's get back to the main scrizzing. So if you are somebody, right, this show is for you. You are the person that you are a Christian, and maybe you're not a Christian. I don't know, right? It doesn't have to be a Christian, but you are a person who is desiring more purpose, more meaning in your life. You're existing, right? You're breathing, but you know there's a different level to this thing. There's something that you're missing out on. You're not living. You're living, but you're not alive, right? It's that passion, that zeal. You're the person that the alarm has to wake you up in the morning. Like, you go to bed at night, you set your alarm, and if you don't hear that alarm, then you're going to sleep until the sun starts breaking through the window or something like that, right? It's like you need that alarm to wake up. But you know that there is a life that exists, a life that is possible, a life that is accessible. Somewhere within you, you just know that there's more to this, that God has more for you. It's that little unction inside that says, man, okay, I'm doing okay. I'm getting by, but I'm tired of just getting by, right? In financials, they talk about paycheck to paycheck, right? It's like you're living a paycheck to paycheck life, right? Maybe it's not your finances, but it's like you're just barely getting by in life, and your vision isn't waking you up. Your dreams aren't waking you up, right? There's nothing that you're getting up to, and you're just doing life, and you're just at a point where you're like, yo, man, I'm tired of just doing life. I'm tired of going to church, listening to a message, hearing how good it is, and then going home and everything's the same. I'm tired of going to my small group, sitting around in a circle, praying and talking about how good it's going to get one day, someday, but nothing seems to be changing. You're tired of watching, people on TV, and seeing how great their lives seem to be. You're tired of being on social media, looking at highlight reels of other people and thinking how life could be for someone else, but you're not feeling that. You're not experiencing that for yourself. You're the person, man, that's just like, yo, man, I know that there's more, but how come the more isn't coming my way? Well, I believe that a part of that is in discovering your design, in discovering the unique shape that God has for you and that you are shaped in. Even the word of God says, and I should have had it up on the screen, but in the Bible, it says that we are fearfully, wonderfully made. That fearfully, wonderfully made. It speaks of craftsmanship. Even the word talks about the fact that we are God's workmanship. We are something that God took time to design, time to develop, time to work on. There was forethought. There was intention behind you. And I'm going to be illustrating something in just a moment that's going to help really open this all up for you. But there was great intention behind you, right? Even as I talk about the what, right? That's the missing piece, the what you are. Many people talk about who you are and why you are. Who you are is your identity. Why you are is the purpose, which we'll be getting into. But the what you are, that is the value point. That is the worth point, right? Because when you discover what you are, what you have been designed to be, then the what informs the who, the identity, the character, who you should be. The what informs you of why you are. Oh, this is why I am. Oh, this is why I'm valuable. Oh, this is why I'm useful. See, I think that the light bulb comes on. I think that the passion is lit. I think that the fuel right, starts to really pump through your life. When you start to see how valuable you are, how useful you are. And if you don't discover your design, AKA, if you don't discover your what, then there's going to always be this, man, I'm here, I'm existing, but I'm not alive. I'm not living passionately. I'm not excited about life. I'm just doing life like Groundhog Day, the same stuff, the same old, but you're not tapped into something greater than yourself, and you're not tapped in to contributing to and to bringing to life something greater that's going to outlive you, that's going to carry on, right? That's going to continue to echo, that's going to continue to cause ripples in society. If that's what you're looking for, if that's the kind of life that you desire, because that kind of life ain't, that's not for everybody. So if that ain't really you, that's okay. That's okay. But if it is you, if you're looking for that, then go ahead and hold on tight. That's what we're going to be talking about today. So I want to share with you a few stories, quick little stories, and then I want to illustrate something for you. Okay. I always like to be of integrity, always like to share what I've lived, what I know to be true for myself. And that's not to say that I know it's automatically going to work for you, but there's something about the fact that there's something that you can glean, pick up, clues, breadcrumbs. There's always something that you can pull from listening to someone's story. That's why in public speaking, they often say that storytelling is the most powerful tool in public speaking. Being able to tell a story. Why? Because stories connect us. Stories connect us. Bible stories have connected Christianity and those of faith for thousands of years. Stories passed down through your great grandmother to your grandmother to your mother to your father. Those stories keep you connected. Stories that we tell each other when we were little children, middle school, high school, right, college. When we tell stories, it connects us. It draws us in. It's a connecting point. It's when we can see ourselves in someone else, or we can see that someone else has been through what we've been through, and we feel a little better about ourselves. We don't feel alone. We don't feel like an outcast. Oh, someone else has been through this. Oh, someone else has experienced this. There's something powerful about telling stories. So I want to just tell a few quick stories. Not going to take up a ton of time with this, but I just want to share a few quick stories of how I discovered my design, right? We're talking about discovering your design. So I want to share with you how my design was discovered. I want to share this first one. And I've told this one a million times. Pastor Eric Brown, back in, I would say 2001, 2002 or so. It was super early on when I first moved here to Southern California with my wife. And at that time, one child, little TJ. And we've had 3 children since then. So we have a total of 4 adult children, brilliant, amazing children that I'm so proud of. But at that time, it was just my wife and I and TJ. And I remember Pastor Eric Brown. He was a pastor here at Pasadena Church. Shout out to Pasadena Church, the church with no limits here in sunny Southern California, specifically in Pasadena, California. If you're ever in the Pasadena area and you need a church to visit, to attend, to possibly even join, baby, Pasadena Church is the church where you want to be. I highly recommend. All right. Some loving people, amazing leadership. And so, yeah, man. So when we first got here, Pastor Eric was on staff. He's since passed away and going on to be with the Lord, as we say. But at that time, he was still here. He was on staff when we first arrived. And Pastor Eric, he asked me, I can't even remember why he asked me or how it all came together. But he said, hey, man, come and share a message, 15-minute message on really whatever you want to share on. But he may have given me specifics, but I don't recall. But he said, come share a 15-minute message to a group of men in the fellowship hall. I don't know what night it was, maybe a Friday night or a Thursday night gathering. This was my first time ever teaching at all, sharing at all, testifying or doing any sort of stand up in front of someone else and sharing a word. I was not ordained at that time. I was not on staff at that time. I was not even really operating in a defined ministry at that time. We were very new to Christianity and new to Southern California. But for whatever reason, Eric said, hey, man, come and share a message. So I came, I shared the 15-minute message. I shared it out of Mark 1. And I talked about when Jesus got up early in the morning. It says Jesus got up early in the morning, went to a solitary place where Jesus got up early in the morning, left the house, went to a solitary place where he prayed. And when Simon and his companions went to look for him, they exclaimed, hey, everyone is looking for you. Jesus replied and said, let us go from here to the nearby towns and villages, for this is why I've come. One of my favorite passages in the Bible, Mark 1 verses 35. And so that's kind of when the story started. And so shared it, and I was done. I was talking about, Jesus and getting up in the morning and praying and how early morning prayer was so powerful for me. And so I was done, and I was up at the front of the stage, and I was putting together my laptop at the time. I was putting it back in my bag and picking up my stuff that I used for the presentation. And Eric came up to me, put an arm on my shoulder. He looked me in the eye and he said, Treveal, you are a teacher. 5 words that changed my life. Treveal, you are a teacher. He told me what I was. That was the beginning of, I didn't know it at the time, but that was the beginning of the what, understanding what I am. Because many times we're at a surface level. What are you? I'm a man. What are you? I'm a woman. What are you? I'm a Christian. What are you? I'm a whatever. Very surface level. But there is a what to you. The what is the what you are. Essence, what you are, God-like image, what you are, right? What God created you to be in the form of a contribution to the betterment of our society. The what? That's where the worth comes from. That's where the value comes from. That's where the contribution comes from. That's where the passion comes from, baby. When you know your what? Because that's something God gave you. God's not going to take it away, right? My gifts are without repentance, says the Lord. And man cannot corrupt it. Man can't take it away. Nothing man can do can remove it. It's going to be with you, whether you use it or not, whether you use it for good or for evil. You got it. And so for me, one of the what's was I'm a teacher. I'm an educator. It's what I am. I am a communication channel. You can't take that from me. I'm going to communicate effectively. It's not my fault. I didn't give it to myself. God did that. And here's the good news, ladies and gentlemen. God gave you a what. You have a what. And if you don't know what your what is, that's why you don't know your worth, right? Like I always say, know your what, know your worth. If you don't know your what, you don't know your worth. So you're walking around feeling less than, right? Comparing yourself and getting down on yourself is because you haven't been established. You haven't been rooted in your what. But you get that what going, baby. And can't nobody tell you nothing about your value. It's not going to make life perfect, but in the area of how you see yourself, how you carry yourself, what you believe about yourself, everything starts to change. All right. So Eric introduced me to my what. Now, I won't go further into that story because I could just unpack it. It'll just take up all the time. But I wanted to give you that quick introduction as to how it all began for me. Right. So this is 20-something years ago. The what started with Pastor Eric. Now, fast forward 2011. I'm going to share with you here the prophecies. All right. I'm going to share a clip, just a snippet of the prophecies that were spoken over me when I was ordained. All right. This is when I was ordained as a minister after accepting my call to the ministry. I was anointed and appointed by Pastor Kerwin L. Manning. Shout out to my spiritual father, spiritual daddy, leader of Pasadena Church, along with the amazing Madeline D. Manning. And so he spoke a word, and then also Bishop Gideon Thompson, which I'll be sharing in just a moment. Church Without Walls International out of Boston, Jubilee. Shout out to Jubilee. Shout out to Boston. And he spoke a word over me as well. All right. Now, again, I'm just sharing these stories because it just helps to illustrate and helps to kind of take you back to kind of how it all began for me. So Eric spoke over me in 2001, 2002-ish. Okay, 9, 10 years later, here I am being ordained. And so Pastor Kerwin says, this is a snippet of what he said. We thank you, Father, for the calling to do, here it is, to do a work unusual, an unusual work, a work not defined in the textbooks, one that you cannot find a job description for. That was what he saw. That's what he heard as he laid hands on me, as he anointed me with oil on the day of my ordination. A work unusual. I've come to understand what that looks like and what that is, and I'm continuing to develop and fine-tune what that is. Just to give you a sneak preview of what that is without going too far into it, God's given me a great vision in terms of what I am to present and work in and work through and present to the body of Christ and to the world at large. It's really looking at the Word of God as a foundation, but then also empowering people through intrapersonal communication skills. There's a psychological component. There is an emotional, intelligent component. There is a understanding and a thorough knowledge of how we operate and how the mind and how the brain works. Synchronizing that with solid, rooted theology, and then blending that with philosophy. I don't know if you ever have understood this or not, but we're all philosophers. We're all philosophers. All the word philosophy means is a love of words. That's what it means in the original language. A love of words. Better translated, a love of your words. In other words, I can share something with you, right? Whether I preach from the Bible or I share a snippet from a book that I'm reading. You take it in, you process it through your lens, and then you form a way that you see that perspective that becomes your philosophy, because you're going to live by that. You're going to live through your own lens. You don't live through my lens. You live through your lens, and that's your philosophy, right? It's something that you create. It's something that you make up. It's something that you do on autopilot. You don't even try to do it. It's just what we do as humans. We take in information, and within us, we form these little philosophies, and it becomes our lifestyle. It becomes the guiding light to how we move and how we operate in the world. So again, that really wasn't what I meant to share. Went ahead and shared it. Hope it wasn't too choppy. Hope it made sense. If it doesn't make sense, don't worry about it. It's not super applicable to this moment, but I just thought I would share, because this work unusual, I'm getting more and more familiar with what God is doing. So again, philosophy, theology, psychology, it's a beautiful mixture, like a cocktail, a beautiful self-help, self edifying, self-building up, self-development, self-improvement cocktail, okay, that blends all the best of things to really help to empower you and to equip you to not only know what God is saying and God has called you to, but doggone it, how to put it to work, how to do it, right? Because there are a lot of Christians who are born again. You're going to church, you're sitting in the pulpits, you're sitting in the pews, you're sitting in these groups, you're doing the thing, you're in the ministry, you're on the mission field, but there is a void within you, man. There is a void within you, man, and you don't know what it is, and your life is not on fire yet. And so I believe that there is something that I'm going to help to do. I'm a piece to the puzzle, man. I'm just a piece to the puzzle, a thread in the quilt, man. It's not all about me, but I got something to contribute. And I think it's going to be really, really powerful as I continue to grow and develop in that. All right. So that was a clue to what I am to do. And then let's take you on over to the next one right here. Old Gideon Thompson. He says, I've given you, this is thus saith the Lord. This is him laying hands and hearing what the Lord is saying to him concerning me. He says, I've given you not only a depth in me, but here it is, I've given you the ability to explain in a simple way that which is difficult to understand. Eric said I was a teacher. Gideon is now saying, I've given you. This is 10 years later. These guys don't know each other. These guys have not talked. This is a 10-year gap. And here comes Bishop. Bishop wasn't in that meeting, right, with the men in the fellowship hall, right? So now he's saying, listen, I've given you this ability, man, to explain in a simple way those things that are very difficult for most people to understand. This is confirmation, ladies and gentlemen, at its finest. This is reminding me that this is the what God has given me. I am able to communicate effectively. I'm able to share a message that is usually on things that confuse people, make people maybe frustrated and kind of worn out emotionally. I'm able to take those things and I'm able to see it in such a way that I'm able to then translate the concepts that I have within my own mind. I'm able to then articulate those things in a way that helps make sense of it. I don't know how many times I've preached and I've gotten down and someone said, hey, my God, thank you. You made that make sense. I don't know how many text messages. I don't know how many emails. I don't know how many times someone has told me and expressed to me, I love you preaching. I love you teaching because you make it make sense. I'm not bragging. I'm just letting you know that the evidence will follow you when you tap into your what. People will tell you things will happen. God has a beautiful way of reassuring you of what he's done and what he's given you to do when you tap into it. For me, it was Eric. For me, it was Pastor Kerwin. For me, it was Bishop Gideon Thompson. For you, it might be me. I'm just being honest. Like you listening to this episode right now, you watching this episode, for you, it might be me. It doesn't matter who introduces you to it. It doesn't matter how you get to it. It just matters that you get it. Okay? So I wanted to share that with you guys as my story. I don't know if I have anything else. I think that might be the last slide. Yes, it is. Okay, cool. So I'm going to stop sharing and I'm going to get on back to the main screen. All right, guys. So I'm going to share something really quickly here that will help bring it all together. And then I want to give you a CTA call to action. That's right. Do something with this information. All right, guys. You're all Christians, right? And again, I know this is not an all Christian podcast. I think mainly Christians listen to me because I talk a lot about God. But if you're not a Christian, that's cool. This is still applicable. So I'm not going to even use Christians. I'm going to use humans. I'm going to say humans. We're all humans. All right. So we're all humans. We're all in this family, this body, this community of humanity. We're all humans, right? Now, on this is why it's important for you to be watching the tube, because if you're not watching the tube, then you are missing out on something. All right. So I'm showing right now. If you are watching, right, just wherever you are in your home, just what is this, right? Just say it out loud. What is this? All right. This is a knife. All right. Now I'm going to share something else. What is this? I'm sharing a fork. Last one. What is this? A spoon. So I'm sharing a knife, a fork, and a spoon. Now, universally, what are these from a common perspective? They're all what we would consider utensils, or some people love the word silverware. Utensils or silverware. Okay. That's what they are generically. Just like you and I generically are humans. Now, if I was to ask you individually, out of these three utensils, what is this? You would say a knife. I would say, what is this? You would say a fork. I would say, what is this? And you would say a spoon. Here's the deal, and this is where I want you to lean in. If I said, hey, what's your favorite breakfast? And your answer was cereal. Because this isn't a live broadcast, I'm just playing along. You just play along with me, even if you're listening. If I said, what's your favorite breakfast? And you said cereal. And I said, what's your favorite cereal? And you said, I don't know, Lucky Charms. I said, okay, great. Go get a bowl. Let's get the bowl of cereal going. All right. You get the bowl, you get the cereal, you get the milk. And now it's time for you to get a what? A utensil. Out of these three, which would you grab? Would you grab the knife? No? You wouldn't grab the knife? How come? You answer the question. Why wouldn't you grab the knife? It's a utensil, right? Or how about the fork? Would you grab the fork? No? You wouldn't grab the fork? How come? It's a utensil, right? Aren't these all utensils? How come you wouldn't grab this one? Oh, let me guess. You would grab the spoon. How come? You would grab the spoon because although all three are utensils, the spoon is uniquely designed to meet the demand for eating and consuming a bowl of cereal. Could you eat and consume the bowl of cereal with a knife? No. The milk would run all over the place, and none of the cereal, or very little of the cereal, would stay on the knife. And when you bring it up to your mouth, it's pretty dangerous. Same thing for the fork. The milk would run through the fork, and very little of the cereal would stay on the fork. But wow, look how uniquely and perfectly, fearfully and wonderfully, right? Designed. You already know where I'm going with this. Designed is the spoon. The spoon meets the demand. The spoon is useful. The spoon is valuable. The spoon is what we need in this case. Because if I asked you, hey, let's have some spaghetti for dinner, which one would you grab? You grab the fork. If I said, hey, I got some toast that I want to go with my eggs and I want to spread some butter and some jelly on my toast, which one you grabbing? Yeah, you're going to grab that knife, right? You would choose the proper utensil for the proper job in the proper situation at the proper time. Because while they're all utensils, just like we're all humans, each has its own unique, special design for its own unique, special purpose. And they're all useful, but they're not all useful in the same way. They all provide, they all supply, they all contribute to you successfully eating something, but not all the same thing. In the same way, you, my friend, are uniquely designed to do what you're supposed to do. It's the what? Surface level, we're all utensils. That's what you are. You are a utensil. But the what is I am a knife meant to cut. I am a fork meant for forking, right? Stabbing and twisting the pasta and picking up. You get where I'm going. Come on, work with me, baby. And I am the what level, the spoon, meant, designed for, purposed, for scooping ice cream, cereal, whatever it is, yogurt. We don't even think about this. We go straight to the cabinet and we grab the proper utensil for the meal that we're enjoying. We don't even think about it. Why don't we apply that same truth to ourselves? Why don't we apply that same level of value to ourselves? Because every drawer in America that can afford it has one of each. Because at different times, I need different things. And in the same way, God uses us and we are to be of service in a very unique way. And just because one person doesn't find value in you doesn't mean that you don't have value. It just means that that person doesn't have value for you. Because just like if I'm not eating cereal, but I am eating spaghetti, I'm not going to pick up the spoon. It doesn't mean that I hate the spoon. It doesn't mean that the spoon doesn't have value. It doesn't mean that I dislike the spoon. It doesn't mean that there's no purpose for the spoon's existence. It just means that in this moment, for this occasion, I need something different. And you and I are the exact same. So no longer should you get down on yourself. No longer should you compare yourself. No longer should you feel bad about yourself. No longer should you self-hate and think others got it so much better than you. No. You've just not maybe been in an environment that appreciates you. Maybe you just haven't been around people that have found use for you. Maybe you are a spoon, but you hang around spaghetti eaters all the time. Maybe you're a fork, but you hang around yogurt eaters all the time, right? Maybe you're a knife, right? But you're always, I don't know, hanging around pizza lovers, right? They don't have any use for what you offer. But that's no indictment on you. It just means you haven't gotten around the right people. You haven't put yourself in the right environments. You haven't discovered your design. That's all it is. So guys, as so many times before, after Eric, after Pastor Kerwin, after Bishop Thompson, after others, because I didn't share everybody, but after others continued to give me clues and breadcrumbs to my what I looked to over the last 25 years, and you may get tired of me saying it, but I'm going to keep on saying it because it's the truth as it pertains to how I got to where I am. I did assessments. I did so many assessments, spiritual gifts, strength finders, working genius, right? The Carl Jung personality test, the DISC personality test, all of these different assessments that I've used over the years and that I have put together. And you can find the link down below in the description. If you're watching or if you're listening, these links are in the description. Take the assessments. I've created resources that you can tap into. I have a resource called Finding Direction for Your Life. I have a free master class, right? What's my worth? Remember the what, discover your worth. The master class, click the link, man. These are resources that I have taken time to develop, to present to you, to offer you the same thing that I used to build my confidence, to build my clarity, to build my courage, to walk in what I am. And over the years, little by little, right, I've been able to be everything, right, that I've wanted to be, right? Doing the things that I wanted to do, having some of the things that I've wanted to have. Sure, there's always going to be some more. There's always going to be more. Life is progressive. Life is evolving. Life is expanding. There's always more. You never arrive. This is not about arriving. This is just about doing life wherever you are on the level that you know is available. You're watching me live at it. You're watching others live greater than me. You know it's available. So why not you? Why not you? You know I'm available. Emails, iamthepossible.com. Hit me up. Email me. You ask questions in the comments. Ask questions. Reach out. Ask questions. Like I told you in the last episode, I'm still at the level where I can get back to you. There's going to come a day where I'm not going to be at this level. I prophesy over myself, right? I prophesy. There's going to come a day where you're not going to be able to reach me to the degree that you're able to reach me right now. Right now, if you email me, I can email you back. If you drop a comment, I can actually reply to it. There's going to come a day that I'm not going to be able to do that. And it's not because I'm going to be big-headed, I'm going to be cocky. It's going to be because of the capacity that I'll be able to carry. It's going to move me into spaces and places that just require a greater focus. And I'm not going to be able to do some of the other things that I'm able to do today. I hope and pray that made sense. Not that interaction with people won't still be available. With technology and the things we have going on, sure, there's going to be ways, whether it's through my staff, whether it's through someone else, always going to be ways for us to connect. I'm just saying that personal, direct response, get it while you can, man. All right, I'm available. These resources are available. That's your call to action. Click the links below. Take the assessments. Begin to discover yourself. Begin to discover what you got, right? Because that's when the passion kicks in. That's when the passion kicks in. If these utensils could talk and it's time to eat some cereal, this spoon would be like, yes, awesome. Look at me. I am making that happen. If it's time to eat some spaghetti, this fork would be like, yes, look at me. I'm the fork, baby. I'm making that happen. If it's time to put some butter on some bread, this knife would be like, whoo, look at me go. They would feel good about themselves. You would feel good about yourself too, if you knew what you were. Not who. Who is your identity? I'm Treveal. You're whoever you are. That's just your name. That's your government, as we say. That's not the life changer. That's not the life changer. Even with Jesus, there was a lot of Jesuses in biblical time. There were a lot of Jesuses in biblical times. There was a lot of Yeshuas in biblical times. There was only one Christ. There was only one Christ. It wasn't who he was that made the difference, what he was. When the Spirit came down, when he was baptized by John, the Spirit said, this is my son in whom I am well pleased. He didn't say this is Jesus. He didn't call him by his name. He wasn't concerned with who he was. The Father said, this is what he is, my son. That's what made the difference. And that's what's going to make the difference for you. Because your name recognition hadn't gotten you very far. If it was, it would have already gotten you there. No, it's the what. What you are informs who you are to be and informs why you're here. Yeah. All right. Hope and pray that made sense. Finding your purpose, finding your passion, finding your zeal, finding that next level of life, that next evolution, that next elevation. Up leveling up, however you want to say it, whatever makes sense to you. It's found in your what. All right. That's it. Love you guys. Praying for you guys. Believing in you guys. Until next time, this is Treveal C.W. Lynch. Mr. What? Here to help you to see what makes it possible for you to be what you want to be. Do what you want to do. Have what you want to have. Yes, this is the I Am the Possible podcast experience. The place where possibilities become perspective. And I'm out. All right. Take the assessments. Much love.